magic, isn't it? Give nature a helping hand and then just look how quickly it can respond.
We've been on a fascinating journey involving a whole range of projects across a whole number of farms on Wallington. We kind of know a lot more about what our vision's going to be and what we're going to try and achieve, and that's really to try and halt the decline in nature across the estate.
So already this is functioning really well. So got lots of wildflowers here, so lots of nectar sauce. We've got birchfoot trefoil, bits of hogweed, meadow sweet. We've got a sort of a sedge bed that's come back in here as well. I think it's just brilliant. I mean, it's just amazing how these trees have grown so well. So they've been in, what, 3 years? So it's just really, really encouraging to see that it can make such a difference. Really, really impressed.
Our big headline was to try and plant 1 million trees on Wallington over 10 years. And that was maybe starting in about 2019. We've just gone through a period of 18 months, 2 years of probably the wettest on record. But the good news is that's really good for growing trees, so the trees have grown really well. Looking at hedgerows, we've completed 20 kilometres out of the proposed 50. We've been planting lots of oak and sycamore and other standard trees within the hedge line, so we've probably put about 10,000 hedgerow trees back in to replace the ones that have slowly been lost over the last couple of 100 years.
We're here at New Biggin Farm, where an amazing opportunity has come about. The previous tenant wanted to retire, so we're basically going to be able to turn all of this farm into woodland. I think what this does is gives an opportunity to actually have a complete blank canvas, start from scratch. So we've been able to design this woodland that's got multiple features for public access, but also for biodiversity as well. So there's going to be a real mixture of habitats within here, of wood pasture, to continuous cover forestry, wet woodland as well. So this is very much fitting in to all the other work that we've been doing. We're hoping to then, we're connecting it together, working with the adjacent farms in terms of that connectivity. So we're hoping to be doing some more sort of tree planting and hedgerow connections with the farms over there. The beavers are just over the other side of the hill there. And so everything sort of starts to really kind of make sense in terms of that connecting the landscape together. I think it is that sense of scale that's really amazing about this project. It's going to be 120 hectares, so that's around 120,000 trees. We've talked a lot about needing to work at this much larger landscape scale, and so this is very much fitting in to all the other work that we've been doing.
We set ourselves targets of creating priority habitat for nature-friendly land. We've managed to kind of double that within the last 3 years, so we've taken it from about 500 hectares to nearly 1,000. Land which is much more conducive for wildlife, and that's really vital for all the species and the animals out there which are really struggling with climate change and fragmentation of habitats. And then there's other interesting projects which we've just got in the pipeline, which are just coming in. So we've just started to work with the Vincent Wildlife Trust on a pine marten project. That's going to be a national project called Martens on the Move.
So yeah, we're looking at a big old beech tree, veteran beech tree that has died and snapped away. And this is the sort of habitat that we're missing, to be honest, in a lot of our woodlands. These big old trees are ideal for pine martens. They need hollowed out cavities to nest in. And with a lot of the new woodlands that we've got, a lot of young woodlands, a lot of these big trees are missing. And that's basically why we put up pine marten boxes when we're trying to encourage them into an area. We're pretty sure they're north of us, and we know that they're west of us in Kildare, so it's just about trying to attract them into Wallington. They're fantastic at hunting small mammals, but we want them because they hunt grey squirrels, which are obviously an invasive species that we're looking to try and get rid of. So on top of our grey squirrel management, having a population of pine martens would be a fantastic way of keeping grey numbers down, making sure those red numbers come up again.
I mean, I think one of the most exciting things has been the reintroduction of beavers to Northumberland for the first time in 400 years. I mean, I think the thing about beavers, I mean, even I didn't realise just how amazing they were. Phenomenal, the amount of change that they've managed to introduce in such a tiny space of time. You know, they've only been in just over a year, and already they've completely transformed the environment, not only for themselves, but then for the benefit of a whole range of other species. Beavers just do what beavers do. They're well adapted to their water habitat. They basically produce wetlands through dams, through damming up. So they're removing coppicing trees, which again is opening more light and space for other wildflowers to establish. So all the time they're basically increasing biodiversity.
And Paul, is this an otter feeding station?
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Oh, amazing. So we've got otters eating the crayfish.
Yeah.
Beavers busy here. One of the things we're studying at Wallington is the interaction of beavers and the rare white-clawed crayfish. And down here you can see the white-clawed crayfish. Now, it's not the beavers that eat these are otters. So at some point, I like to think, one evening the beavers were busy making the dam, the otters were busy having a feeding party on the white-clawed crayfish here. Biodiversity in action.
I think the reason we wanted the beavers as well is that, you know, they've got a massive knock-on benefit in terms of the climate crisis they're in. It's been shown that beavers can slow the flow through their dam network. These big storm events that we keep on having, you know, the rains, it gets into the system really quickly and then straight into the rivers and off into the towns and cities where it causes the problems. Beavers tend to add complexity within the environment. It hits vegetation, hits trees and then slows down. So if we can store the water up in the upper catchment, where the beavers are producing these wetlands and building dams, and that's just going to help slow the flow from there. The wetlands are just massive storage sinks for carbon, so basically beavers can play a part in restoring those wetland habitats.
Within the enclosure now, within a year, we've now got 9 dams across the entire length of this sort of stream essentially, which is about 1 kilometre. So I mean, wouldn't it be amazing to scale this up? So if you can imagine all these small tributaries with, you know, with beavers in them doing this sort of stuff, that really will start to have an impact.
Beavers are really important in the landscape. They do a lot of good jobs for holding water back, making the landscape more resilient to drought, as well as making it really rich in wildlife. We just want to get across what good work beavers can do and how they're ecosystem engineers. So it's just a way of sharing out the story about the beavers with more people and engaging with more children about what the beavers are here for and what they do.
I'm going to make a really good idea.
Okay.
It's not coming through.
That's good. No, it should be. There's been some amazing dams built today. A lot of these people could be beavers in another life.
Over the last 400 years, we've had a massive decline in our wetlands. When the land was needed for agriculture, there was lots of grips were put in, so effectively drained. The idea was to try and take the water away from the land as much as possible. On the upper reaches of Wallington, where they're kind of like more peaty soils, we are basically reversing that and filling them in again to re-wet them, so that those peaty soils can start to recover and be more of a sponge and hold water.
Down the centre was a big drainage ditch that was basically removing all of the water which was coming in from these side ditches, and effectively what the driver's done is reprofiled it and then we filled it in completely. And you can see it's starting to, the water's starting to overspill, so hopefully all this area will start to wet up down through here. Historically the maps show quite a lot of peat on this area, and we've done surveys and we've only found like peaty pockets, and what it's suggesting is that it's basically over time has dried. So we're having to really reset the clock, unfortunately, and so we're basically gripping all the land back up again so it can hold the water and then hopefully start to get these peaty soils re-established in with sphagnum, and that's starting that 1,000-year process of creating more peat again.
We do really feel the trust we can do nature-friendly farming, producing great food, quality food, but also respecting the environment. I think the really gratifying thing is the way that so many of our tenants have really come on board with this and joined us on this journey. It's really important that we kind of do listen to them and work together with them.
I'm Adam and this is my wife Jenny here on Gallows Hill Farm. The National Trust have been very supportive and helpful in kind of developing the way we're going to farm Gallows Hill and putting the stewardship programme together and everything. We've been working quite closely with Paul, and it's just about trying to continue the work we've already started. So the farm's 340 acres altogether. So that's the boundaries it lies, which we've got the sort of rougher ground where we're doing a lot of grounds works over there, kind of dampening a bit of that area and different patchwork over there. And then the beaver enclosure lies on the east of the farm, which is just adjoined by some of our ground. There's some of the wood that's on just in the National Trust estate.
We've got 6 hay meadows, so we had hundreds of bales last year and we had 216 this year, so it works really well for us because we can use that to feed the cattle and the sheep over the winter when they're inside.
We don't use any fertiliser chemicals on them as well, so it's about managing them with the stock to give them as much time to grow and let them recover.
It's just settling in. I think we'll probably spend the first 2-3 years settling in, like Adam says, expanding the livestock slightly and just working out what fields we can use what time of year, looking at the stewardship. So I don't think we've got anything massively ambitious for the first 2 or 3 years, but after then we might look at some different diversification ideas.
It was always in our plan to kind of be more old-fashioned in a way, low maintenance, and trying to make it easier for us to fit around being employed as well, and make it more of a place to live as a family and bring up the boys than actually intensively farm it. So it actually fits into our system, the way that the National Trust wanted farmed in line with their Wilder Wallington project.
I think for the Trust it's vital that we are managing our land both for people and nature. And I think that what we've certainly learned over the last few years is that that can happen. We know we're in a crisis, and this time for action is now because time is ticking. So we have got to move incredibly quickly. So we won't always get it right, but we feel as though moving at pace and trying to do the best we can now is definitely the right thing to do. It's a privilege to do this job and to be able to be involved in something that feels is really, really making a difference at speed with change which is happening quite rapidly. It's just hugely exciting.